Welcome to Caseback Watches. My name is Tim, and in this video I'd like to present you the Caseback method, how to learn new skills, how to learn basically everything you want. And I've mentioned this method in one of my last videos, and then people encouraged me really to produce this video, and I think we go right into it. Let me show you something. Which illustrates the point, I think. Let me just show you some drawings. And let me tell you something about those drawings. Charcoal on paper, and we can see very, very weak, very limited capabilities you see here, right? Very weak. Then I thought, okay, this is not so good. Let's try something else. Let's make James Cagney. I mean, maybe you recognize him. Maybe you can't see James Cagney here. Again, very weak. Prominent errors to spot, and overall really not a good look. So very, very weak. And then I thought maybe charcoal is not my thing. Maybe I should do it again with graphite. And here just random guy with graphite. Again, we see it is very weak. Look at the shoulder, the sunken shoulder there. Oh no. And look at the distance between the eyes. No, no. And the shirt is not realistic, doesn't look natural. This is again very, very weak. And then I thought, okay, let's carry on. And then I tried to paint or draw Fritz Lang, and you see, oh, actually it's a little bit better. It's a little bit better. If you compare this with the first one, then you see at least the guy managed to get better in it. And I can say with some confidence, in 1 year I will present you here some nice illustrations. Not the high art master university class, but I can present you then some illustrations which illustrate something so that you can feel it, that you can see, oh, it's alive, it's in a way well made, okay? And I can say this with confidence because I will use my method again. The method which I used learning tailoring, or if you see my first leather work is this here, 10 years old. The size of this wallet is just perfect. The stitching and the overall quality is again shit. But then I produced the Dieselbank Executive Bag, which was, I can say a success. And again, I've used the method to learn leathercraft. It doesn't come from university, it doesn't come from a guru, it comes from, I think, real life. And now I present you some rules. I call them rules for me. I follow them as rules. You don't have to do this, of course. You can call them inspirations or tips or hints. If a musician wants to play a song, let's imagine he or she has heard that song and then he tries to play it himself, then the first try is something like not even close. And the musician then realizes, oh, this was completely wrong. What has happened now? He has failed, right? He has failed, but not a single musician would then stand up and say, oh no, I failed. I cannot play this, I failed. It's out of my reach, I have to stop here. No, he thinks, oh, this was wrong. Let's try this, did it, closer, let's try this. Bad direction. Oh no, I cannot make it that way. Maybe I have to buy the sheet, maybe I have to study the harmonics, maybe I have to put it on another level. And I highly recommend to adapt this thinking that failure is normal life. If you are in an environment with a lot of professionals in it. For example, you want to learn how to build up your car. You have a vintage car and you want to restore everything. So you are in that garage. There are a lot of mechanics there are professionals, and you ask for some advice, and there are some people sometimes who tell you then you cannot learn this. This is an entire craft. This is an entire job. People need years to learn this. Is this correct? Is this really correct? My first job training was as a carpenter. I was 16 years old, was this rougher carpentry on construction sites. And I remember exactly that I painted over 6 weeks windows. I could teach you in 20 minutes how to paint a window. Maybe you want to train then 1 or 2 days, but you don't need 6 weeks. Absolutely not. And so the job trainings in most jobs is not super efficient. When you count all those times when the apprentice really learned something new, then maybe it's 6 weeks. Maybe it is 6 weeks. the company I was in had this job to paint those damn windows. And so I did it 6 weeks. Especially if you want to learn a craft, then there are methods out there filled with knowledge, sometimes developed over centuries. There's no way to compete with this knowledge at the beginning, at least. And so if you start, I highly recommend that you stick to the book. It's all there. The risk is very high that everything goes wrong when you're improvising because you don't have those centuries of knowledge behind you. Example, if you have this vintage car there and then you see the dashboard must be replaced, I have to do a new dashboard, then don't improvise. Don't improvise. Buy yourself a book or go to the internet and look some tutorials how to make a vintage dashboard. This is carpentry then. And how to apply the varnish. And then go into detail. What kind of solvent do I need? Do I need real turpentine or can I use nitro? Those questions. You don't have to improvise. And so at the beginning, I really recommend don't be the smartass there. Just follow the book. You can be more creative later, of course. Research, research, research. Before I've started tailoring and leatherwork, I watched tons of videos on YouTube. I consumed every bit of knowledge I could grab. And most important, I've learned the technical terms. The technical terms are extremely important because if you cannot name something, it's not in your mind in that way. And of course, you cannot ask somebody with precise questions if you don't know the technical terms. You need the technical terms. And so really my recommendation before you start with your hands, start with your head. Fill it up with knowledge and with background information so that you have a nicer start. Admit, the question was in your head, this is extremely time consuming what you're telling us. When should I do this? I am a family father or mother and I have a job, maybe I have 2 jobs, I have other occupations. When? Here's the question. In the empty spaces. And I think every life has empty spaces. For example, my biggest empty space is the train to work, the train ride. I take the train every morning 20 minutes to the office and every evening 20 minutes back. Those are 40 minutes empty spaces. And I mean, imagine 40 minutes. If you spend 40 minutes every working day on a certain topic, then after 2 or 3 years, you are really good at it. I promise you. And it's in every case better than playing those stupid games on your mobile. I mean, I love good computer games, but I see mobile games on the train, so cheap and so idiotic in a way. So those are excellent empty spaces. Next example, workout. Many people do workouts. I should work out every 2 days. I think I do it every 3 days, so never mind. And I jump rope for half an hour. This is the beginning. And you cannot imagine how boring it is to jump rope. It's extremely effective and good for you, but it's extremely boring. And so I started to watch TV and then I realized, okay, let's skip the TV, just watch tutorials. And then I've watched a ton of tutorials about Premiere Pro, the editing software. This is extremely complex, that thing. You can make a Hollywood movie with it. So it's extremely hard to learn it at the beginning. But if you watch tutorials every 3 days, half an hour, then of course you can learn this. And so big recommendation, find the empty spaces in your day or your night. This is a rather radical view to say forget talent. Yes, I'm exaggerating here a bit. Of course, there are immensely talented people in this world, but there are very few. There are very, very few. And sometimes I'm under the impression that what you think is talent are 10,000 hours of work behind it, really. And if you hear such stories like young Mozart, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart wrote his first symphony at the age of 4. I have kids and I know a lot of kids here around. What is more likely? That the laws of nature have made an exception for Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, because a 4-year-old kid, I mean a symphony with various voices, that little brain, I don't know, to be frank, if this is possible in a biological way. And so again, the question, what's more likely? That the laws of nature have made an exception, or that his father, Leopold Mozart, was his impresario, and Leopold Mozart was a man who knew how marketing worked back then in Vienna. and maybe it's more likely that he helped a little bit with that and he created that story of the Wunderkind. And Mama, if you're watching this, I know you're a diehard Mozart fan, so I'm not saying that Mozart wasn't a Wunderkind. I only ask what's more likely. Very important point. It's good for you if you compare your work, what you're doing, with the work of other people, because then you can see what's possible. I couldn't believe that people play like Stokelo Rosenberg, this gypsy guitar player, and then I saw, oh, it is possible. He's a human being, I'm a human being, I can learn this. And I couldn't learn this his way because he's really a giant, he's absolutely a master, but I can play this music, this kind of music now in a way people enjoy, at least that. So comparisons are very helpful, but comparisons also can be intimidating. Then you see something and you realize, oh, this is so good. I will never be able to do that, like that, in that way. No, no way, absolutely no way. Then it ruins your motivation. And my advice there is, first, see the story behind it and the circumstances. Very easy example. You go on Instagram and then you see this mystery tailor and he presents buttonholes made by hand. And I highly assume that the guy made 10 buttonholes and then he took the best one, he made the best lighting for it and took that image, and it looks great, of course, but you cannot see all the circumstances behind those perfect buttonholes. Or if you have something else, you have your dashboard of your vintage car and there's this other guy with his dashboard, and again, you cannot see the ruined 10 dashboards before that perfect dashboards. And maybe he likes to put more effort and more work into the presentation, and you like to put more work in the actual work, and so your images don't look so good like his images. And maybe this is the entire trick. Or you see a guy who followed a method like this method a little bit earlier than you, and maybe this is the major difference. You are there with your vintage car in your garage and you've mastered to make a nice new dashboard for it, right? And then you realize, oh, with this new knowledge I could make something nice for the house, for my apartment, or for my wife, or for my kids. I can make something beautiful. And then you do it, and this leads to another thing. Then you realize, oh, I could make now such and such item for that person or that person. And then you go away from your vintage car in a way, and maybe you wanted to be rather a mechanic than a carpenter. But you're so distracted that you cannot see anymore. What did I want here at the beginning? God damn it. And so my recommendation is, from time to time, step back and ask yourself, was this the dream? Was this the dream really? I've learned this during tailoring, because the world of tailoring is so big. You can't choose between so many styles, so many garments. There is an entire world to discover. And at one point I was a little bit lost what to do next, and then I realized what was the dream. And then Nucky Thompson came in and said, hi there. Last advice, don't be a dick if you mastered something or you're really good at it. This is this cliche, but it really happens. You have a band, the new guy comes in, slightly nervous. I mean, completely normal to be nervous at that stage. And then you have some dickhead in that band, and he plays that lick. He trains for years now. He's really good at it, and he really crushes that new person. And the new person is completely intimidated, feels bad, plays bad then. Self-fulfilling prophecy in that way, and this is completely unnecessary, and it will fire back, ladies and gentlemen. It will fire back very quickly and very brutal, because people are more willing to work with other people when they're nice, when they're just nice, and we are willing to tolerate if somebody's not at 100% of his skills, right? But he's a nice person. We can work with him over a long period of time without exhaustion, for example, without feeling bad. And this evil genius, nobody needs this evil genius. And so don't be a dick. Okay, and now I'm curious what you have mastered. What are your unexpected skills? And if you like, then please send me an image or description or a link to Caseback watches at iCloud.com. I don't know now what to do exactly with that material then, but maybe we can include it in future videos. I think this could be really interesting for many people here. And so don't hesitate, Caseback watches at iCloud.com if you have to show something very special and interesting. And if you want to see my own progress with my work here with tailoring and illustrations and watches, of course, then please follow me on Instagram. It's caseback_Tim. And now let me thank you very much for your attention, and maybe until next time.